Hi folks, Dr. Jim Gishwin, PhD. I don't have much to talk to you about this time. I mean, it's all getting self-explanatory for goodness sakes, except how do you cure beard dandruff? Merry Christmas to all of you. Not feeling too well. I'll be spending my time for Christmas in the hospice at Sacred Heart. Not because I'm a patient, but because I'm trained to do that and sit there and give someone who's married and has a family around here some time off to go and be with their families instead of being with a bunch of sick people in the hospital. But I'm used to it. The last few Christmases I've had have all been in the hospital with my wife, late wife. And so I guess that's just where I'm supposed to be. As a chaplain and as a Christian. I had a veteran I visited yesterday, and he wasn't doing too well. I kind of knew I had to give him last rites, and I did, and he passed last night. I do a bunch of those every year, and it gets pretty sad because they're all younger than me, for one, and two, it seems like the closer we get to Christmas and New Year's, the more and more of them pass. I remember a couple of years ago, we had to sit there and get help from Mobile, Alabama riders, patriotic riders, to sit there and help escort, funerals to Barrancas National Cemetery. My name's already on there with my late wife, by the way. I guess the Navy's kind of cheap. They don't want to sit there and take one off and re-engrave it again, so they just engrave it all at once. So, technically, my name's already on the tombstone. That's a heck of a thing to be thinking. Here I am, I just had a birthday, and I'm as old as Red China and a year younger than the state of Israel. So I've lived kind of the Cold War life, and now we're in a Cold War again. It's good to see some of these countries turning around, like Italy, Argentina, and getting more back to conservative values. Finland has just joined the NATO, and they're rather conservative, and of course they've got a long border with Russia, so they got a lot to worry about. Russia's always sat there and tried to prod at Finland throughout the centuries. So it's not going to be anything new there. And they got one of the best militaries in Europe. What happened to our Christmases? Look at the stuff we're thinking of. We're thinking of terrorist attacks during Christmas. We didn't think of that when I was a kid. When I was a kid, you could drink out of the water hoses, not get sick. Rode your bikes without helmets. In fact, I had to ride my bike quite a ways. And up a very steep hill. But coming down that hill was fun. We had rock fights, believe it or not. I remember the Christmases with the families. It was quite something. They were quite a thing, and I loved them. I think my best one was when in Hawaii, I remember we had a very nice Christmas. I remember that very well. Of course, I have a lot of brothers and sisters, but it doesn't do you a lot of good when you got grandkids and kids and your family spread all over the world, all over the globe. We're a military family. I'm telling you, my grandson that's in the military, both of them, they're 5th generation. And now I'm going to have a great-grandson or daughter. That'll be 6th generation if they go in the military, and I'm praying they don't. I really praying they don't. It's just like I don't want them going to college nowadays. Back in my day, going to college was something great. You learned things. You weren't indoctrinated. And let me tell you guys, I don't think they have what they need for impeachment. Okay? There's a difference. They have more than enough to sit there for a criminal indictment. That's for daggone sure. Okay? But an impeachment has to be the quid pro quo while he's in his current office. You're impeaching him as president. You can't impeach him as vice president. That was a long time ago. All right? You can't impeach him as a senator. Well, you don't impeach as a senator. You censure him and then you kick him out of the Senate. But anyway, but you see, if you got enough for a criminal conviction, it's different than an impeachment and the Constitution. And man, I want them to get him. I really do. And I'm glad Hunter Biden's getting his. Unfortunately, this might distract away from the father because we can't. There's still that question in the Supreme Court on whether or not you can criminally indict and convict a president. And let's see what the Supreme Court says about that, because it's going up about the same time as the First Amendment thing with freedom of speech. So freedom of speech will be heard in this next session of Congress. And Mr. Jack out there, I think, has got that thing pushed to the Supreme Court to see if you can convict a president. Okay? Or whether or not you can even try him. So let's see how those turn out, okay? But remember, they got tons of stuff, but it was all from the 2015s, 2016s, 2018s, even just before he got inaugurated. Now, I think if they can sit there and put the quid pro quo to selling our strategic reserve oil to China, well, it was a Chinese company that Hunter Biden was still on the board of, okay? And if they can do that, tie it to that, and also tie the fact that the mayor of Moscow's wife was not on the sanctions list when Russians invaded Ukraine. That's the quo, but where's the quid? Did the quid come during the presidency? Do you have to have the quid come during the presidency? Those are constitutional questions. In other words, could he have made this arrangement a long time ago before he became president? And now he's sitting there paying them back? It's just like the Clinton Foundation. They lost 75% of their income when Hillary didn't become president. I mean, Bill was out there when she was Secretary of State sitting there making $500,000 to $1 million a speech for the Clinton Foundation. They were just rolling in it. And of course, none of it went to Haiti relief like they said they were going to do. But that's another story. You guys, Merry Christmas is all I got to say. And just be with your families. Remember that your families are so important to you. You got to have your structure around you. You got to have your family around you. Especially as you get older. It gets pretty lonely when you're widowed twice. Anyway, Merry Christmas to you all. God bless you. And praise the Lord. I think things are turning around. I'm praying they are. All right, praying that for my great-grandkid coming. Remember, I'm your humble servant, always, and I love you. Take care.